Hi guys, after seeing so many VPN advertisements being misrepresented by big media personalities, I believe it is time to clear up some misconceptions. This video will focus on shady sales practices and not so much on the technicalities of the VPN protocol. However, we first need to know what VPN is and its use cases. So imagine that one company has two branches that are far away physically from each other, and they need to be connected securely so no data can be stolen. Because they are far away from one another, there are dozens of routers between them, so if they want to send data through the internet, it's gonna be seen by many people, including the internet service provider, so exchanging data that way is impossible. They also can't just connect two branches via separate cables, since that would be very expensive and complicated if they are far away from each other. But virtual private networks provide benefits of both of those ideas without having any of their downsides. A router from one branch that wants to send data to the other first encrypts it so only its intended recipient can decrypt it, in this case the other branch, then treats the whole network as just a single line cable to its intended recipient, and even the ISP, who is the middleman here, is not able to see the data that is exchanged. Okay guys, post-production Chuddy here. I know that I'm gonna repeat some things here that are going to get mentioned later on in the video, but it's very important that you know that what you saw here is a demonstration of how VPN works when exchanging data between two routers, which in this scenario was completely safe, since it was between two routers that you own, but when you use VPN from a company such as ExpressVPN, NordVPN, Mulved and so on, the only thing that changes is the location from which you send and receive data, since VPN does not go directly to the website you're using. To give an example, if you use YouTube without a VPN, you will send your data from your router through the ISP then to the YouTube servers. If you use VPN, you will send your data from your router directly to the VPN. I mean, not directly, there is no single line cable between VPN and our router. But due to the VPN protocol, we can treat it as if it is just a single line cable, and then from VPN provider it gets exposed to the internet in the same way it would without a VPN. And then the data goes to and from the YouTube server. The only difference here is the location that the internet service, in this case YouTube, sees data being sent. Back to the video. This was a very basic version of how VPN protocol works. I can explain it in more detail, but that is beyond the scope of this video. And the main problem here aren't the technicalities of VPN protocol. Problem here are massive corporations selling people the idea of VPNs as a monthly subscription, as if it's a magic spell to gain infinite internet privacy. While in reality the only thing that changes is that instead of your local internet service provider seeing all your data, the thing that sees all your data is a large international corporation. And that's even worse than it sounds, because your local ISP has to obey to your national laws, while a VPN provider does not. Also, VPN providers, being corporations, have high incentive to sell user data to advertisers, or even worse, steal your accounts. So, a bit of an embarrassing personal story. But when I was younger, I was also seeing all these VPN ads and believed that I was gonna be like the cool anonymous hacker man or something like that if I had VPN. But I did not have a credit card that can be used for internet purchases, so I just googled free VPN, which was a big mistake, since in most cases if something does not have a price, you are most likely the product. So I connected to the first free VPN that I found and logged into many of my personal accounts, giving the person hosting the VPN access to all of my passwords, and had some of my stuff stolen before I realized what happened. Fortunately, I recovered everything, but I don't want you guys to learn the hard way like I did. Okay, but that was a sketchy free one that I got off some guy with an Indian accent. That should have raised red flags in my head, but the large VPN companies must be legit. Right? Well, not really. In America, for example, government can collect all data from VPN companies, and VPN companies are not even allowed to notify their consumers about it. Besides, as I said, getting a VPN only makes your private info be seen by a random company instead of your national service provider, and in most cases you should trust your national service provider over some random company. So if you're a random person just using internet to post on your social media, watch YouTube and similar, which is 95% of the people at least, VPN companies are selling you a placebo, making you pay for basically another ISP that does nothing but make connecting to the internet more complicated. Also, nearly all of your modern apps use HTTPS protocol instead of HTTP, which makes your data encrypted and not visible to onlookers for free without any need for a VPN. Of course, none of the personalities selling VPNs know or even understand or even care what they are selling. They just see a big paycheck and the consumer don't bother checking. So, for a very long time, I thought about having VPNs as something that is only used for illegal stuff like torrenting, hacking, watching CP or similar. So, with me living in Serbia, there was no real need for me to get a VPN for torrenting since government doesn't really do anything significant about that. And I wasn't really interested in the other two. So, like most people, I thought that VPNs are only used for nefarious reasons until one day I saw NordVPN on my professor's desktop. You have to understand that in universities many professors may have the same degree, in this case maybe like something doctorate in computer science or similar, but have vastly different specializations. One professor may be an expert in hardware, one professor might be an expert in programming, but this professor with NordVPN on his desktop was expert in computer networks, and him having a doctorate in about 30 years teaching and researching makes him one of the most qualified and knowledgeable men on the matter. So he had to know what he was doing there. I thought to myself, is my professor secretly Didi in his free time, or is there something I don't know about VPNs? So after one class, I came up to him and explained to him why I thought VPNs were pointless, leaving the reason why one would use VPN, of course, and asked him why does he use it. He first explained to me what a VPN protocol is, and then he of course understood that I was indirectly asking him if he uses it for porn and piracy. Him being the cool guy professor that he is, he alluded to the fact that he in fact does not use it for porn and piracy in a subtle manner, and instead instances in which he uses VPN are if he is outside of Serbia and has to use the bank. That is because some Serbian banks for security reasons do not allow people outside of Serbia to connect to them. Another one was pen testing and interacting with networks from different locations, and his reasons for having a VPN were all related to him accessing some services from different regions, so there are legitimate reasons for using VPNs. Also, he told me that the reason for him using NordVPN is purely because he got a discount on it. I don't think that he did that much research on which VPN provider is best, but instead chose NordVPN out of convenience. I don't really know which one is good, cause I have not done that much research either, but I heard people put most trust in Mulvad, so I think they might be the best or at the very least a lesser evil. I believe that most VPN providers store and know about your illicit activities, and by extension the government alphabet organizations know as well. But in order to convict people they need to gain evidence, and to gain evidence they need to blow cover of VPN providers. And I don't think they would do that for petty stuff such as torrenting. But it would be a different story if it was gaining evidence on a very big crimes. So I think that the vast majority of people are safe doing what they want on VPNs. As conclusion, I want to give advice on who should and should not get a VPN, and it's very simple. Don't get a VPN just because you think it's cool and promoted by Joe Rogan or some other famous person. Get it if you need something to be done that can only be done through a VPN, such as torrenting or using services that depend on your region. If you are serious about being anonymous online, you will need to gain some technical knowledge in order to avoid some mistakes. For example, if you are trying to be super anonymous while using online services such as YouTube, you can use Tor browser, VPN. You can even get a privacy-oriented operating system such as Tails OS or Cubes OS, but if after all that you log into your YouTube account that is using your Gmail, which is also connected to your phone number, you have completely blown any anonymity you had. So if you really want to be anonymous, you have to gain a lot of technical knowledge of things that happen behind the scenes. I hope you found this video useful, thank you for watching, and see you next time.